Hello again, everyone. It's This Week in Agribusiness meteorologist Greg Solier. We're in for Max Armstrong. Welcome to Farm Progress, Dateline Drought. Our continuing coverage of the drought of 2012 is brought to you by Genuity Drought Guard Hybrids. There is a change in the weather offing across much of the heartland and the Corn Belt here over the next couple of days. We've talked about this. We have certainly hinted about it, about the correlation between a weak El Nino and out across areas of the northern Atlantic, especially up aloft. Temperatures are warming. There's no place for the cold air to go except back westward into areas of the Canadian Prairie and a push on southward, and it's the first in a series of cold fronts taking aim at the plains of the Corn Belt over the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to generate significant cooling and maybe some early season frost and brief light freeze potential. Might be a little complicated with cloud cover, wind, and certainly warm grounds. We'll look at it here in the following days and weeks to come, but let's stay up to date on that type of thing into areas of the northern plains and upper Midwest. But first and foremost, if you're checking out Husker Harvest Days at Grand Island, boy, it's been a midsummer-like feel. Gusty south wind, higher than usual fire potential. We're going to turn those winds in from the north, drop temperature readings 20, maybe 30 degrees, and generate a pretty good covering of rain. It's going to muddy things up out there, but the winter wheat fields are seeding operations underway. They'll certainly take that over not only a wide area of the plains, but across much of the Corn Belt reaches too. Matter of fact, on the maps and charts here, you'll see it over about the next 24 to 36 hours, how moisture pans out. It originates over the southwestern states. We're going to get a buckle coming across areas of the west to pick up all this monsoon moisture. It's been a very impressive rainy season in the desert southwest. Some of that moisture and upper air energy will lift out to the northeast. Look at the wide area of rains, upwards of an inch expected as far north as the Board of Trade, 1.5 buckets out through areas of Iowa, at least about a half, maybe 3/4 at Grand Island. And this area of rain should ultimately work to the east over the remainder of the week. Some wet weather issues because of the tropics, although that pattern appears to be quieting down with strengthening upper level winds across the tropical Atlantic. Nonetheless, moisture through Florida as we touch down over the southwest, and boy, we need moisture in the Pacific Northwest, but unfortunately not much in the offing over the next 6 to 10 days, if not longer, with the outlook through the 24th of September showing below average moisture, increased fire potential, Northern California, Pacific Northwest, Mississippi and westward, drier than usual, core of the moisture expected Great Lakes region and throughout much of the eastern states. But here is the big story. Look at the cold air expected to settle in relative to normal into the heartland. Yeah, and this will be, by the way, increasing and expanding heading closer to the start of October. There may very well be some early season frost and freeze potential into the Midwest. Be ready for cooler to colder and wetter as we advance deeper into the fall season. That's a check on weather. Now on to Bryce Knorr and a look at markets.
The 2012 harvest won't be a bin buster, not after this summer's drought. But enough crops are being harvested to create what will pass for harvest pressure this fall, with buyers mostly on the sidelines at least until Wednesday's USDA reports that turned the market lower on Monday, frustrating an early rally attempt with double-digit losses across the board. Selling appeared driven by both technical and fundamental factors. Export inspections for corn were again weak, remaining under 10 million bushels as the 2012 marketing year began, even though China took another 2.1 million bushels. Basis at the Gulf export market dropped another nickel, falling to its weakest level in almost 3 years. December futures broke through trendline support, falling all the way to its 50-day moving average before finding some footing. December ended off 16.25 on the day to 783.25. After the close, USDA reported 15% of the crop harvested, a little less than trade expectations. No change was made nationally to the condition of the crop, though state ratings suggested a half bushel per acre increase in yield potential. Soybeans also suffered a chart meltdown, with November futures breaking below the uptrending channel that had held since August, closing down 17.75 cents to 17.18 3/4. USDA reported harvest just starting, with only 4% of the crop cut as of Sunday. Soybean ratings improved due to gains in the Ohio River Valley, adding almost a half bushel per acre to yield potential. That takes the average yield to 36.4 bushels per acre nationwide, according to my yield model, though USDA's Wednesday report may not catch all of that. Soybeans inspections of 12.9 million bushels were at the low end of trade guesses, with China taking half the total. But soybean basis at the Gulf appears to be stabilizing, with margins for Chinese crushers staying at attractive levels. China also loaded some U.S. wheat according to today's export inspections tally, some 4.1 million bushels. Total inspections were 19.6 million, a little below trade guesses and still under the rate needed for the rest of the year to meet USDA's forecast. Still, selling in wheat seemed mainly tied to the downdraft in corn and soybeans. Australia could be on the verge of joining the list of major producers with disappointing production. Estimates there are running around 150 million bushels below USDA's August forecast. Nonetheless, futures rejected last week's bullish breakout, with bearish reversals lower in Chicago and Kansas City today. Chicago December finished down 13 3/4 at 889 3/4. Kansas City fell 18 3/4 to 904 1/2, and Minneapolis was off 22 3/4 to 935 1/4. After the close, Egypt announced yet another SNAP tender, which could provide the best test yet of the availability of supplies out of the Black Sea. Shipment is for November 11th through 20th, when some exporters may be nervous about securing Russian wheat. Keep up with the drought situation across the country by visiting www.datelinedrought.com.